All right, welcome to episode 2 of the Times Up Outdoors podcast. Today we are joined by our good friend and coworker Brandon Carter from the Michigan Hunter. Brandon tells us his story of killing a 157-inch Michigan monster. We discuss youth hunting philosophies, quality deer management strategy, food plot recommendations, and much more. We hope you enjoy. All right. Me and Brandon are actually at the firehouse right now while John and Nico are at Nico's house.
We're gonna give this a shot.
Yeah, this is an experiment. We got a few things going right now. So new. So real quick before we get into anything, I wanted to give a special thanks to AV Squared out of Brighton, Michigan, for giving us access to all of their equipment. That's pretty much making this podcast possible, as well as some other projects that we got going on. AV Square was voted Michigan's best audio-visual supplier in Michigan by the Meetings and Events magazine in 2017. So for all your AV Squared visual and audio needs, give them a look up at avsquared.com. John also works for them, but they're pretty much helping us out a lot with this whole podcast.
Huge.
And then same thanks goes out to Kyle Green and the rest of the Greenway Outdoors guys. They put on a real great wild game dinner last week that the three of us went with our ladies, and we had a great time. And we got to thank Kyle for letting us pick his brains for about an hour while I'm sure he had other things to do and more important people to talk to than the Times of Outdoors boys who know nothing.
way more successful.
Yeah. The only complaint I have is there was no beer there.
Yeah. That's a complaint everywhere we go.
It wasn't at a church. It was at a church, so I can't really complain too much about it. The food was great. The episodes were great too. They were good too.
It was a good time.
Yeah, man. So, Nico? Why don't you tell us? We got a squirrel hunt coming up. A little tournament going on, right?
Yeah. There's an annual. It's called the Lanesburg Squirrel and Rabbit Tournament. Basically, it's kind of a cool story, man. These guys went in their garage, a couple buddies, and they had whoever wanted to come out. You pay $20 and get a raffle ticket for signing up, and then they take all the money. They shoot down to Cabela's. They spend it all, and they come back. And every squirrel and rabbit you shoot, you get another raffle ticket for. And then whatever they bought, they just raffle it off.
So what kind of things do they buy?
Oh, literally, so first of all, they're huge with the youth. So the youth are guaranteed prizes, like little knives or mini crossbows and stuff like that. So that's super cool. But then for the adults, anything from a gun cleaning kit to guns, tree stands, gun blinds. Hunter, my brother, won a fly fishing trip a couple years ago. Nice. We took a kid last year. He won an 18-gun safe. So, anything. Yeah, they just go down there and buy whatever they have money-wise. They're just going to spend it on tree stands and blinds and everything.
And so he told me about this, and I was obviously all in. I'm into killing stuff, so this will be my first year going. We've got Chris Daly also in on it. And are you going, Scott? Either of you?
What was the date again?
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
Dude, I'm probably out for pretty much anything for the next week.
Yeah, because you got the baby. But
yeah, that could happen. I pretty much can't be more than an hour away from my house for the next however long it takes for our little baby to pop out.
Yeah, well, so anyway, like I said, he said had me coming in, so it's going to be sweet. Me and Chris, I think, are going to team up, and we're going to go out to his lease out in what the hell was it?
I don't know. Where Chris is at?
And he's out.
Don't tell him where his honey hole is.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We're going out to the west, rather.
There's a big group of my buddies. We've been doing it for years. It's fun.
So you can pretty much just sign up and you go wherever you want.
Yeah, like I usually take everybody's money and I sign everybody up the day before. And then we all just meet. You meet there at like 6 o'clock, and we all meet there, and they got chili and all kinds of other little food, and we wait around. Everybody gets all their squirrels and rabbits checked out, and then you win. And hopefully you come home with something. I know the one kid who got us all involved in it has never won anything, and we've been going for 8 years. He's never won. He's the one who started it. He never wins.
How many people usually come out?
Hundreds.
That's fun. That sounds like fun, man. I wish next year for sure, but
yeah, it's a blast. Get the kids involved. I know I'm taking Dugan out Saturday.
You got anything else you guys want to talk about before we get into meat and potatoes of this episode.
Other than the fact that we don't have any ice in this stupid state and it's mid-January, kind of sucks.
The fact that
we can't
today
hear you
was
again.
coldest day.
You can't hear us at all?
Nothing?
Shit.
I hear you just fine.
Nothing.
God dang.
What the?
They're frozen.
There it is.
Hey,
No, we got it.
I see
We
you
got
now.
you guys.
You're back. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can
Yep.
hear you.
It took a small delay.
Yeah.
I almost had
Like,
curse
I want you
words.
to say
Hey,
yes when you're done hearing
That
this.
was just a small delay to hear from our sponsors.
Correct. Yeah.
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 there are none, so there was nothing to hear.
So it was a very small delay.
Just go to a blank screen.
just throw.
The little colors on the screen.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows that this is like first time ever doing something like this. So
Yeah, doing it from we're 2 hours away from each other.
It doesn't
Yeah.
help that we're at my house in the middle of nowhere,
correct.
and there's basically a stick on an antenna for internet out here.
Is your brother out on the roof holding an antenna up in the air?
Yeah, he keeps texting me that he's cold, but he's gonna have to stick it out.
Dude, it's
It's
nuts.
gotta sit up.
Do it for times up.
Yeah.
I just had some technical difficulties. Hopefully that doesn't happen again.
It's probably gonna happen again.
That's probably
Yeah,
not again.
So
Let's be honest.
just bear
It's
with
all
us
right.
here.
It's all right. We'll figure it out.
Mhm.
Did you give him a hoodie at least?
No, he's fine.
No time to put.
No, he's
He's
got
got, you know what? I think he's got a Michigan Hunter coffee cup. He's drinking coffee out of it.
Yeah.
he's got that beaver hat on from the beavers he traps, so he'll be fine.
Yeah. So you guys got nothing?
That's it. Other than the
right.
shitty
Nothing
ice.
important, man.
All right, so let's get into it then. We got Brandon Carter here. Brandon Carter is from the page on Facebook called Michigan Hunter. He started it like a year ago?
Yeah.
Here,
A year or two ago.
Yep, he started that, and just to get some discussion going on Facebook. I guess I could let him talk about it, but we brought him on the show just because we wanted to get him more involved, and time's up. And then we also think he has a pretty good story with this 157-inch buck he shot this year.
Michigan Monster.
So we want to hear about
Absolutely.
that. We figured our list. I've heard it like 15 times.
I've never heard it. Not
I've
once.
never heard it either.
The guys at our firehouse hate us right now because deer season just ended and we haven't shut up about it. Me and John work at the same firehouse, if you haven't noticed, or me and Carter, not John. So yeah, so why don't you start? Why don't you tell us about Michigan Hunter? Just
right.
briefly, what'd you start that for?
Got it. Okay, so my main reason for starting the Facebook page was to take a little different approach to reach the Michigan hunters out there in the state. There's a lot of bashing. There's a lot of soft pages that, I think they're kind of soft. But there's got to be something in the middle, and I didn't see it, so I created Michigan Hunter. The main focus is family and the outdoors, and I want to encourage people more so than bash people to, as far as deer hunting goes, to step up their game a little bit. Not necessarily, the APRs it's a struggle. The 1 buck rule is a struggle. What do we do? Well, I think that the Michigan hunter has a lot of control as to how the deer are treated and management outside of what the DNR, implement for our rules. Well, we're the ones pulling the trigger. We're the ones that are kind of controlling that aspect for the most part.
So when you say cut you off real quick, when you say step up our game as hunters, you mean QDM, or can you
Absolutely.
touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. I would like to see. I would like to see the 8-point minimum come into effect, but I don't know if that'll ever happen statewide. But I have to rewind the clock and know where I came from. Also, I came from the spike horns. We've always shot does. That's a good thing. But 3-point, all the 1-year-old deer. I've killed probably more of them than anybody has in Michigan. So, so I'm absolutely.
Here he is, trying to change everything.
Right.
No, but I mean, I think most of all, you guys probably had the same upbringing where when I started hunting, it was a buck was a buck was a buck. You shot a buck, you shot a buck.
That's right.
Went down to the bar, you took a paper plate, you wrote your name and how big your buck, how many points your buck had, because that was all that mattered. And if it was a fork horn, it was a 4-pointer or a fork geeter.
And even to touch on that too, is we all probably came up from that same era, generation kind of thing, but it's because that's the way we learned it, right? My dad wasn't a trophy hunter. He wanted to put meat on the table, and he was always in the mindset of like, if you see a buck and you want to shoot it, shoot it. And so he did that. So it's not gonna. It's almost bad to say that we should start it now, but who else is gonna? You know what I mean? And then you're gonna raise your kids right, and get them. It's a generational thing that's gonna just change over time.
Me and him have had many conversations at the firehouse about it, and correct me if I'm wrong. You want people to step up their game, but you're also not mad at them if they choose not to.
No.
You're not ready to jump online and start going on Michigan buck pole and start knocking guys that shot a little 1.5-year-old 6-point.
No, and that's the tough balance that in my head I have to be honest with myself. There's guys out there that they get to hunt, a couple weekends a year. Yeah, I'm going to shoot what I see. I get that. And then especially the kids, I want to see kids be successful. I have 2 little ones, so I want him to be able to shoot, that first buck that he sees or a doe.
Well, for a couple of reasons, maybe is that for one thing I'm going to touch on. I'm going to interrupt you a whole bunch because I've never heard you talk about any of this stuff. This is our first time talking about it, but the first thing is that your weekend warrior, if you will, the guy that's going to go out there and kill a bunch of stuff, and not a bunch of stuff, but shoot what he sees. Yeah. This guy's also not buying tags in Iowa. This guy's not doing waterfowl tags. He's not buying. So when you say you want to get the majority of the hunting population, you mean the hardcore hunters that are going to actually make that effect on our deer herd, and for 2, when it comes to the kids, I don't want to see a bad shot on a deer. So if you're going to get your kid out there and shoot a 4-point or a 6-point or whatever you deem a small deer, they've got to get those jitters out of the way. That way, when they get to the point where they can start QDMing, they can just start putting themselves on deer and making good shots on them. And
there's no doubt. Listen, I took my little ones out for youth season, right? Early doe for me, youth season for them, and I was scared to death because I had 3 really nice bucks coming around on a regular basis. So I'm like,
every dad has this thought.
But no, seriously, what if that buck popped out first for my son? And
can you guys hear us?
Yeah.
Everything's all right.
Yeah.
It's getting weird on our end.
Just keep going.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Second sponsor.
We'll take a second to hear from our sponsors again.
Goodbye.
This could be you.
Better?
There was another short commercial.
Yeah, they can hear us now. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. It's another technical difficulty. All right, so you were saying?
So I had these I had a few nice bucks coming around, and I was a little nervous that I take them out there, and my son knows that he can shoot a buck or a doe. Okay, if an 8-year-old pulls the trigger on a nice big 10-point, I don't know if I'm doing him any justice as retaining my little hunter. When an 8-year-old's got a big 10-point on the wall, and it's like, okay, Dad, now what?
And to piggyback off of that, when I was taking Dugan out, the youth hunter who I've been taking a couple years, he just turned 12. We were going specifically for his first buck this year, and I had, just like you, a couple really nice bucks that were walking through very often. And I was thinking the same thing, man. If he comes out here and smashes a Pope and young deer for his first buck, I'm like, that's almost cheating him. But I shot a pile of 1.5-year-olds because I think kind of like you said too, you got to work your way. You need to work your way up to that. You got to build your foundation of it at being a hunter before you're just like, I'm going to do quality your management. You got to kill a couple of these little things, and then you're okay with it.
Yeah.
So he shot a spike, and I thought that was awesome. That's perfect. Now you can grow from there. You can only go up from there. So let's keep climbing.
Yeah. So thank God we had a doe came out, nice big doe, and he was able to seal the deal on her. And his first comment when he got to the deer, and we got through the tracking part of it, which it dropped, so he just had to find it basically, is he said, "Daddy, is it a 10-point?" I'm like, okay, yeah. So he's just he doesn't get it, totally. But I got him out there with me, and he's doing his thing. So we had a doe come. That's great. Next year, I'm changing the rules up. He's hunting early doe season with Dad. That's it. We will not be shooting any bucks. Small bucks, big bucks. It's just
you just don't want to deal with that anxiety.
I know it's too much for me. It's too much for Dad. So I don't want to have to tell him no is the honest reason.
Yeah.
Why I don't want to do it. That monster comes out, and I know it's not going to be good for him. And getting that building block, like you were talking about, John, getting the 4-point, 5-point where you can build up. It's easier just to have early doe season, and we get to enjoy it just as much because he thought his doe was a 10-point, and so it's all good.
He doesn't really know any better yet.
Hope and young doe.
Yeah.
They're both Pope and Young. I like
it.
Right.
I had that with Austin. He's 14 this year, and I let him sit alone a couple times, but I didn't know if he's ready to sit alone. It just depends on where we are and what the situation is, and if we're at my lease or my dad's house. And he sat with me at the lease, and I shot a buck, and then another buck came in, and he was going to shoot it, and a bigger buck came in behind it, and there was no. I'll be honest. I didn't want to let him shoot it. I wanted to shoot it. And I pulled my gun up, and then I stopped myself, and I asked him, which I was impressed with myself that I even asked him. I stopped because I felt bad. I said, "Hey, I know I just shot one. And, do you?" He didn't even. He cut me off. He was like, "You got to shoot this one. You got to shoot." So I think he knew that I've been hunting for a long time, and I'd never seen. He knew it was the biggest buck I'd ever seen, and without me even saying that out loud. So that was cool. And he right away was like, "Yeah, you got to shoot that." So I was like, "Okay," but
how awesome was that?
Yeah, it was
of him on his
right.
end. Dude, that's an impressive young man to do that.
It made me think next year. I don't think I'm sitting with him anymore. I think next year he's on his own, just so we don't have that ever again. If he sees a buck, it's his.
That's how I'll become a better hunter too. When I remember being a kid and being able to start sitting by myself, and you start to really pick up on things. You're not leaning on anybody else anymore.
Yeah,
so you
question
focus.
yourself.
Don't worry about that. That's fine.
That was terrible. Yeah. So.
And then I'm just cut you off for a bit, Brandon.
So
I want to pick your brain on this, Brandon, just because we were kind of talking about the youth right now, and you're big on kind of growing yourself as a hunter. So this is something that I've been bugging about, and I've talked to John about it. I am 100% for the youth hunt. I take kids on it every year. I hunted it. It's awesome. But when all of us came up in it, you couldn't do it until you were 12, right?
Right.
Bow hunt at 12, gun hunt at 14. Well, now you can start doing it whenever. You can be 5 years old and do it, and then you can youth hunt for now literally 11 years if you want to.
Yep.
And that's where it starts to become an issue to me, because the whole point of the youth hunt is to get kids involved. It's warm. They're easy to pattern. It's comfortable. Well, if you've been doing this for 10 years now, you're no longer an amateur to the extent of needing a youth hunt to do it. So I've always wondered if there's a way to kind of make it to where you can still do your 4 years. So if you want to start when you're 5, well, when you're 9 years old, you're done. You don't get to youth hunt anymore. Or you wait till you're 12, and then you can do it up until. What are your thoughts on that? Something like that? Or are you totally cool with, hey, they're a youth, let them go, rip at it, do their thing?
Okay, so the thing I like about the Hunter Heritage program that the DNR put out there is that I get to make the calls for my son and daughter. Mainly my son right now. He's 8. I've had him out there with me since he was 4. Took his first little buck at 5. Okay, I got a tripod set up where the gun sits in, and my phone attaches to the scope of the gun. You know, so I can see and talk him through his shot, and you know he's not got his head down looking through the scope. We're both looking at the screen on the phone. So
that's what
I get to yeah, it's a great way to teach. You know, no, may lower here, there. You know,
Yeah,
make sure you get a good shot, but you know, I don't want to force him out of hunting at 9 years old because he can't do the youth hunt anymore.
Do you mean like? Do you mean like so? You start at 4, 8. You go till you're 8 as a youth hunter because you've done this for 4 years now, or let's say 5 years.
So
So
they would print you out a youth permit almost like and for 4 years
now
of your life you can buy that up until you're 16 years old. But after you've bought 4 of those youth permits, you no longer can.
And obviously it has some kind of a cap.
I
like that.
It's
something I'd like to see implemented just because I mean I know kids that, and I'm guarantee if it would have been there for me when I was that age, I for sure would have been doing it too.
You're doing
but
it.
I also know me at 16 was no longer the same as somebody who just started hunting at 16. I mean, I was hunting by myself, and you know, I'd started passing deer at 16. So if you're doing that, you're no longer, in my eyes, a typical youth hunter.
Right.
You're just getting a free weekend to go out there and shoot the big buck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and they can still participate in the early doe season.
100%. Yeah.
So they're still getting out there that extra.
I just think it's missing the point of the youth hunt now. Is kind of being skewed at that certain level. Because I have no issue with taking a 4-year-old out there and ripping one. That's cool if they can do it, and you as a father feel that they're able to do so and understand what's happening. All for it, 100%.
Yeah,
but
I could go with that for sure. Cutting them off, and then I mean I'm doing that anyways, I guess.
Right? Yeah, you just said it. That's what made me think about it. You already bring it up because October 1st, it's still plenty warm to get these kids out there and going.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, I mean, what you're getting? When's it?
It's a week early, basically. Yeah, it's like a week, 1 or 2 weeks early. I don't even know when it is anymore.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still the same thing. I mean, all of October was warm this year.
Yeah, so you know, I totally agree that might be a really good thing to adopt. And I don't see a reason to shoot a buck. Honestly, they don't. I don't think that they understand and wrap their head around the buck thing being something more exciting than a doe. Because listen, Dad still gets. I get excited shooting a doe still.
Yep.
Right. Does too.
You know,
I seen it.
Yeah, 100%.
He got all fired up over a doe. He's shaking. I said, "Are you cold?" He goes, "No, I'm all fired up with a deer."
Right. So that goes back to my statement about we hold the power. You know, we hold the stick right now. We pull the trigger. We teach our kids to pull the trigger on whatever we choose.
You're essentially doing what Nico just said. Next year, your son goes out on an early doe and can shoot a doe, and that's it.
Yes.
Yep.
He is done buck hunting until he gets older, and
that's because you're not taking him out throughout the season other than to just sit with you.
Well, yeah, he doesn't hunt after his after the youth hunt. He doesn't hunt anymore, but you know, I take him with me all the time. He's developing that sitting, you know, being able to sit longer and
weather the cold
and listen. He's ruined some hunts on me here in it. You know, that's what it is. That's what being a dad's all about. You know, trying not to get frustrated. You know, but it's gonna happen. Let's face it. And that's
I sat in a tree stand with little girls wearing blue coats this year.
Hey, there you go.
Bright blue.
And blue is supposedly the worst color for awesome.
I was like, well, they wanted to sit out there, so we're gonna go.
So finish up my mission, I guess, with the Facebook page and with Instagram. Now that Scott talked me into opening up an Instagram account, I'm a little behind the times, so I'm sorry about not having a lot of pictures on there or anything, but I'm trying to catch up.
You actually do pretty good.
I'm trying.
You're catching up.
Trying. But the mission is to encourage all Michigan hunters to, wherever you're at, if you shoot spikes, maybe you want to set your standard as a 4-point, even we know it's the same age deer. Still, bump up your game, bump up your standards a little bit. Everybody should be, especially if you've got a few under your belt, and it's like, okay, if the antlers are going a box in the corner in your garage, maybe it's time to step up your game a little bit.
Right.
Me too. I got one of those boxes. I own one. You know, I should be making pens or something. I don't know. But
or that line of little bucks, little tiny bracts on the garage wall.
Yeah.
It's a line of evolution.
Which
it is absolutely.
Like I've always said, and you say all the time, we're not knocking that. I think it's awesome. My dad's got a wall of antlers on one side of his living room that's got anywhere from 4 corns to really nice 8 and 10 points, European mounts, whatever. And then the other side of the wall, he's got his big boys mounted, and he's proud of every single one of them. So am I. I look at them every time I go to his house.
Hey man, if you're gonna spend the money to mount it and put it on the wall, shoot it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like you were saying, if you stepped up your game, like you said, you shoot forkies. Now next year, try to make it you're shooting spikes. Try to make it a 4 point.
Yeah.
Hypothetical challenge for yourself. You're eventually going to get to an 8 point, which could hypothetically get you into shooting a higher age class deer.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we understand you could shoot a 1.5-year-old 8 point all day long.
Right.
You could shoot a 1.5-year-old 10 point all day long. I mean, it happens. But
and in that same breath, it's more than just antlers, like you've been saying too.
Yes.
Now maybe if you're already at a point where you feel like, well, I'm passing up 1.5-year-old bucks, but I don't see a lot of 2.5-year-old bucks. Well, then pay attention to your doe to buck ratio. Maybe you want to even that out, or maybe you notice that there's not a lot of bucks or a lot of does, so maybe you make sure you only fill your 1 buck tag instead of filling 2. Little things like that. Maybe your predators are out of control. You focus a little bit on those. When season's over, I'm gonna make sure I get some traps out here. Little things like that. Just evolve as a hunter and keep growing. That's what I've really noticed you pushing on your page for sure.
And if I can too,
oh man,
the quality when it comes to that, piggybacking off of this, is QDM is like he said, more than just QDM. That means I'm going to shoot the biggest buck. No, that's from food plots to bedding areas to predator hunting to doe management. All this stuff are hand in hand. So when I think I think what Brandon means when he says to step up your game, that's also to increase some of that stuff and try to know a little bit better about the ratio.
Yeah.
I mean, you can I guess it's hard for me to say because I trolled the Quality Deer Management Facebook page a little bit the other day, but and I wasn't doing it out of dislike for QDM or Michigan QDMA because I like what they're doing and I think they're a good organization and I read their stuff and I think that these are plans that will work to help Michigan grow a bigger buck herd, not bigger buck herd, but more quality deer herd. I guess it's not all about antlers. It's, you want a quality deer herd. But that being said, if you wanted to find out more information about that, you go on pages like QDM. They got a million articles about managing deer and especially in Michigan.
Yeah, and not that Time's Up Outdoors, Michigan Hunter. My Instagram is Michigan.hunter. But I know with these guys and myself, anybody could shoot us any questions. If we don't know the answer, we'll tell you we don't know. But if you have some questions about, hey, how do I start shooting a 6 point as opposed to a spike? How old are they? How do I create a more likable place for the deer on my property? If you guys have any questions, feel free to contact either of us. We eat, sleep, and breathe, love, this stuff, more than anything, almost, other than our families, So don't ever hesitate to send any of us questions. We like answering them and to the best of our knowledge.
So you got, what's that?
No, I said I agree to that.
Yeah. So you got Michigan Hunter going on Facebook, started to get a little following, get some discussions going. It's kind of hard. You've found out Facebook kind of suppresses stuff if you don't want to pay for the advertising or boosting your posts. It's tough to get having a conversation generated because nobody sees your stuff sometimes.
Right.
Unless you get guys to follow your page and like have the activation so that it notifies you and all that other stuff. It's hard to get guys, especially guys like us, hunters, to get on there and do it. Because let's face it, most guys like us in this industry, this whole sport, are kind of just starting to get into the whole technology thing.
I
Most
know
guys
what
don't
I'm doing.
like, and most guys don't like it. I don't want to get on Facebook and click your follow button or whatever.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to.
So it's hard to do. It's tough.
Yeah, but I do.
Yeah.
And I do it because I care, about trying. I want as many people to listen to me. This gives me a little bit of a voice, and I'm going to use it to help move our deer herd along and whatever else that we talk about, habitat, because I want something better for my kids than I had. We should always be trying to grow.
Yeah.
You should never stop growing and settle and say, well, spikes are what I shoot.
Right.
1-year-old deer, that's it.
Challenge yourself.
I mean, let's grow a little bit, especially the regulars, whatever that may be. But your regular hunters that are bow hunting and gun hunting and muzzleload hunting, I mean, come on. we can push a little bit, save the little ones for the kids. If they're gonna shoot a buck or something, that's a great building block, just as all of us have had.
So get on there if you're listening. Get on there, follow him on Facebook, follow him on Instagram. We didn't just bring Brandon on because he's a pretty face or has a good message.
Definitely not the pretty
but he also does. He can also back up what he's talking about with just looking at the pictures of the deer he shot, especially the last 2 years. I mean, you killed 2 really nice bucks last year.
Yeah.
And you killed a really nice buck this year.
Yep, it's all kind of turning around. I've been pushing for probably 5 years to create better habitat, more winter food. When the farmer comes through and sucks everything up, I want the deer to have something to eat, help them through the winter a little bit. This winter, fantastic. I mean, still some greenery around, not too cold. Today's getting a little bit cold, but
today's
we've had a nice, easy winter for some of these young deer that would normally struggle. But yeah, I've been pushing for 5 years, pushing myself, maybe 6 years, and it went from, all right, Brandon, 1-year-old deer, second season deer, if you will. All right, let's step it up a little bit. Let's try to shoot some 2-year-olds, and let's, all right, I've shot a bunch of those, and I still make mistake and shoot a 2-year-old. I'm trying to shoot 3 and older. Not that I'm a guru on aging deer or anything on the hoof. But
you got a general idea, though. You're pretty good. You're better than I am at it.
Pretty good at looking at the body, and it's something what happens to you when you're sitting there, and then this buck comes through, and it's almost like you can't get a shot into it fast enough. You know in your head, you don't even have to think about it. Like, my God, that is a big animal, because they're so much bigger than a 1-year-old. So it's almost like, I kind of wait for that feeling where I really don't even have to think about it.
Yep.
Time to kill,
Right. There's no doubt in your mind that's a 3-year-old deer.
You don't even have to think about it. Yep. You already looking at it by the way he's acting, saggy belly, sway back, big antlers, by the way the other deer take off when he comes in. You're like, okay.
Them 1.5-year-old deer, now that I've been pushing myself for the last few years, the best way I can describe it when I see them coming running in, they remind me of a puppy dog. And that might sound stupid, but
they're fired up.
They're just like they coming in, they're like stupid, and they're smaller, and they just look dumb to me. And like you said, you don't get that instant feeling like that's it, that's the one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I shot a 6-point early this year, and they aged it at 3.5. I don't know if it was 3.5. I think it was 2.5. But I definitely knew right away when I saw it that it wasn't a 1.5-year-old deer, and I got that feeling right away, and I didn't even hesitate at all.
Yeah.
But I was real happy with that deer too.
Yeah, that whole big boy strolling in, that created an issue for me this year. I made a couple pretty big mistakes, and I ended up losing a buck, and then I ended up, the coyote hunter that's on my property right now ended up finding it. So
that's something I want to get into though. But I have a question about it that I heard from someone else. another podcast. I think it'd be an interesting subject to talk about. Can you guys hear us?
Yep.
All right, good. Okay. The screen's flashy, so
yeah,
just making sure.
The connection's weird, so just to remind everybody that we are over FaceTime here.
So let's not get into that, Buck, yet.
Okay.
I want to talk about that at the end.
Real quick to piggyback off of what Brandon's saying.
Wait, real quick to piggyback off of that. How many times are we gonna say piggyback?
I like piggyback. It's a good way to stroll into things.
I'm a piggyback.
I like it.
Let's piggyback.
And if anybody's playing along or listening along, they can play a game. You do a shot every time Johnson's piggyback.
That's what I've been doing. I need another beer already. I've been here for 20 minutes.
Well, take your headphones off. Go get me one too. Because I'm just gonna talk real quick. Because I need one. I was thinking about bailing and getting one. Which I probably will after this.
I'll get it.
But okay, take your headphones off.
You just keep talking.
Don't go ripping my thing.
Go piggyback, man.
I'm piggyback.
Hey, don't walk in front of the signal though.
So we're talking about. Yeah, please don't do that. We're talking
Scott's gonna pepper out here. Scott's gonna pepper out of the screen here for a second.
We're peppering out.
We're talking about making mistakes as a seasoned hunter.
Yeah.
Aging deer and stuff like that. Just to throw your classmate. I ran with a McDonald for a while, for about a year.
Yeah. We hate that guy.
He shot another bruiser. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I did.
He shot a bruiser, but he was telling me the story that maybe we get him on the podcast next time. But he was telling me a story that he drew back. He's been seeing this big, huge deer. Draws back on this deer. And correct me if I'm wrong, because this is hearsay.
Yeah.
The thing walks out, shoots it, and he calls me in kind of like a not so happy, demeanor. Yes. And so he ends up shooting this deer. Well, he thought it was the bigger one. It was kind of getting darker, and he just got so pumped that he shot this deer. Ended up being, do you know what it aged at, that first one? I think it was 2.5 or something like that.
Yeah, his first one, it was 2 or 3 year old. I'm not really sure.
So, but either way, it was a smaller deer that he wanted. And,
a little bit of ground shrinkage.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was a little bit of a buck fever shrinkage. And then, so the next time he comes out, he sends me a text and it's like, I shot the big one, that he had to get tracked. Did he use a dog on that one? His big one? No, he found that one easy. He used a dog on the second. Or no, he was going to use a dog. Right, and then you guys went out there the next day.
He called this dog.
Yeah. Oh,
but
fire dog is really
fire dog Carter.
So anyway, what he ended up doing, right, shooting this deer that he was going to shoot anyway, but just one mistake as a hunter. This guy's got history of shooting big deer all year long, and just the misdirection or the
every year.
What?
Not all year long.
Every year. Okay.
Yeah.
Every year shooting big deer. And, this big, huge deer, the one that he was after, came back and he ended up getting redemption on that buck, which luckily he probably shouldn't have, because they were running around as a bachelor group, the one that he shot first, thinking that it was going to be the bigger one.
That's right.
And the second one. But like you said, you make a bunch of mistakes as a veteran hunter, and that's just the game. Anyway, go whatever you're saying. It just made me think of it.
Yeah, no, the second deer he shot, man, it had a big white patch on the side of it. Nice rack, it just an absolute beautiful buck. But the mistake cost him his season, and he had some mild depression, maybe serious depression going on.
Did he?
When he was done on October 20th. Actually, we shot bucks in the same evening. He shot that one, and I shot the one that I lost.
Yeah, you were depressed too.
October 20th. Yeah, it was. But his season was over, because he misjudged his first deer. So but we're trying.
Not to call you out, by the way, Nick. My bad, but I just had to say.
No, hey, we can learn from everybody, and since he's not here, hey, why not?
All right, so to piggyback off that,
shit.
Here.
Let's hear about. There you go, boys. We can't be doing that stuff today. So what? Let's hear about this buck. He shot a 157-inch. I call it 160-inch. That when I tell all my friends.
Yeah.
My buddy Brandon shot a 160 Sometimes it's 165. Never depends on who I'm talking
Story
to.
through.
But it was 157 inches, right?
157.
We'll put the picture of it up on the screen. So if you do watch this podcast,
yeah, right. I have the rack at home too.
Oh, you should have brought it in.
Yeah, I should have brought it. Been a good backdrop.
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna step out. I'll be right back.
The story behind the unnamed buck. I don't name deer. I think it's kind of cool, but maybe I'll start, but I didn't at the moment. So 2017 in the winter in December, I was out, did not hunt anymore, but left the trail cams out. Well, I caught 2 huge deer at different times throughout all of December, coming out and eating corn in the field. And the one was a regular, almost every day rolling through, beautiful buck, but I had no clue he was there, because I didn't hunt and I was out of tags. And then strolling through my 3,000 photos, I caught a slick. He was a 10-point, slick 10-point, high, tight, beautiful buck that I would have loved to shoot at any point. He rolled through. I got 2 photos of him. Never seen him before, and never got any other photos past that day in 17. 2018 rolls around. I got some shooters that I have pictures of, 3 or 4 of them. Fantastic animals. I'm fired up about them. I'm really, that one buck is in the back of my mind, but, I know that this deer, if he's coming on my property, it's once in a great while traveling from somewhere else. So go through deer season, seen some shooters, and I was looking at a wide 10. I had a tall, tight 10, 3-year-old, 4 or 5-year-old, and the one real big one, it was actually a 7-point. That's why not necessarily going after points is something that I like. I like looking at a deer. How old is this? This deer is 5-6 years old, just a monster 7. I seen all 4 of those shooter bucks on October 1st. Most of them far away. One got close enough to shoot, but passed through too quick. So didn't seal the deal. And then, went up, seemed like we did good early season as far as sightings, up until probably the 3rd week in October. We had some really good sightings. And then it dropped off, for me personally, where I hunt. Had a lot of nighttime photos after that. Fast forward to getting into gun season. I went up to a camp that I got invited to because I go help plant their crop fields or their food plots. And a lot of planting, 400-acre farm. Great place to go. Didn't have that many pictures of anything that we wanted to shoot. All of us there, practiced QDM, and we're like, well, I don't know. You never know. That time of year, anything can be pushed through or run through. New bucks show up. But everything we had on trail cam at that time, nothing we wanted to shoot.
But that was on that property as well as yours. So it kind of helped you justify why you left out.
I was uncomfortable leaving. I'm not going to lie. I know those deer are around, so it was tough, but got to go. I want to be with the guys up there. Northern Michigan deer camp. Really don't get any better than that. There's a lot more to it than shooting a deer. There honestly is. But in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking about Jackson County. I'm still thinking about Washtenaw, where I just am creating this story in my head, while I'm sitting in the blind looking at a bunch of small bucks. I just know what's happening, and then I got the trail camera with the cellular capability. So it's shooting me, it's shooting me real time photos the whole time I'm there. So back up. So we get up there November, I think it was 13th we got there, and then on the 14th we're sitting around the table, eating some salty meats and olives and cheese. I'm with a bunch of Italians, this Hungarian guy, and so we're sitting there talking, and I know about the time of evening I need to check my covert camera that's shooting pictures to me. Flick, looking through these things, and then boom, there he is. 4:30 in the afternoon, right in front of my blind. The biggest buck I have ever seen.
That's depressing.
Yeah, I mean, I turned into the biggest baby. I seriously did. It was horrible.
How far into this deer camp are you at this point?
One day, right?
What?
How far into the deer camp are you? One day?
A day.
We're just a day in. It's not even opening day yet. And my is ruined. Now I'm thinking about all these things in my head. Should I go home? Maybe if I leave for a couple, they won't notice. But anyway. I got this.
Sneak out in the middle of the night.
Yeah, I got this beautiful picture of this buck in front, just cruising 30 yards in front of my big box blind, So I was mentally in the wrong place the whole time. But honestly, I never got another picture of him. I got one picture, one day strolling through, and I'm thinking, that's it. I got one picture last year. There's my one picture this year. I missed my chance. Thanks a lot, Nick. You drug me up here, and I missed the biggest buck of my life.
Again, Nick McDonald.
That's Nick McDonald? I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's Nick again.
Yeah, so not so bad for the shitty shout-out.
Oh, man. So anyways, we had a great deer camp. Don't get me wrong. We had a lot of fun. But I honestly couldn't wait to get home and get back out in the woods. So we come home on November 19th. I told him, I'm like, dude, dark to dark. I'll sit every day dark to dark. Maybe he'll show up, This is, totally different behavior November 19th versus December 20th. I mean, you're going from, chasing does to looking for food. So maybe he will show up again. I don't know. So, all right, I'm ready for a dark to dark hunt. Go out there nice and early, getting my box blind. Got the heater going, staying warm. I'm comfortable, ready. I'm ready to rock it out, 9:30 rolls around. I'm flipping on my phone a little bit, looking through trail camera photos and stuff. And I don't know what caught my eye, if it was my eye or if I heard him or what it was. But I looked up and all I seen was jump, jump, jump. He's there in front of me. All I seen was antlers just coming through, boom, boom, boom. And he's standing there. It was over in like 5 seconds. If it was 5 seconds, I got the gun out, pulled the trigger. He takes a few more bounds, runs right into this big old pine tree, and all the snow falls out of the pine tree. My blind erupted by myself. The whole blind's just shaking, I'm screaming.
What were you saying?
I don't even know.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Do you know?
I don't know if I've ever yelled in the woods.
And so you're for sure at this point, you're 100% dead set that was that same buck that you saw, the big one.
When I looked up, I instantly knew it was him because I have never seen that much white on a deer's head coming through the woods like that. I mean, there was nothing else that it could have been.
Where was he going? What was his reason of being in there? Being on your property?
So he was in the marsh, the bedding area that I absolutely will not go into except for maybe once a year to trim out the overgrowth in a couple little spots, but I'm okay with picking and choosing my shots out there. I would rather them be comfortable and have their thick stuff, and I mean that's why they're out there. It's just a massive bedding area, cattails, sawgrass, thickets. So I know why he was out there, right? He's out there doing what they do.
Right.
He's out there trying to breed a doe. That's where I shot a huge one out there last year. Not that big, but really, really nice buck. They get out there and they hem up their does and do their thing. So, and then that transitions right onto a cornfield, smaller cornfield. And then just beyond that is hardwoods. So he was running, he hit the edge of the cornfield, but he was going towards the edge that would lead to the hardwoods. But why he was running, I didn't see any other bucks out there. I didn't see any other deer, and I doubt there would be anything that would push him out other than that big 7-point maybe. But he was definitely running from something, so I would guess it was a coyote. I don't know of anything else that would push him out.
That's got to be luck. And so he came from the bedding area where he was presumably. You don't think he was laid up yet, right, with a doe?
It was December 20th, right?
No, that was in 17. That's when I seen him.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. This year it was November 20th that I was out there.
November, so the day after you got back from deer camp.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I was shopping for Christmas lights when you called me about
it. Yeah.
So
yeah.
So
I made a lot of phone calls real quick. I weakened my blind that was up in the air because I was shaking it so bad. So I got some work to do in the off season.
Fatigue, stress.
I might put some stabilizer bars. on that thing from now on. I get a little too excited, but it's all good. So yeah, the deer hit the pine tree, does his thing. I start making phone calls. I don't even know if the deer's dead all the way yet, and I'm like, I'm ready to rock. I called Nick again, and he's like, what are you doing? Do you see it? I'm like, no, man. The thing ran into a tree. I seen snow, and I can't see the deer. It's too thick. And he's like, well, is it dead? I'm like, well, I don't know. I hope it's dead. I mean, it was a 75-yard shot, a chip shot, and it felt good. I'm pretty good at taking a quick shot. And so I'm going over to the deer, and he's like, well, get off the phone with me and get your gun. I'm like, no, I'm pretty confident that, so I kept him on the phone. I walk around, and then I go find this just Michigan monster laying at the base of this pine tree that he hit. And to be taken back, is an understatement, because we all work so hard, blood, sweat, and tears put into the stuff every year, getting your kids started, planting food plots. There's just so much that goes into it for me. It's a real emotional thing,
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like watching your kid grow up to be finally be successful with it.
Yeah. So you pour so
it's
much
like your
into
inner
deer
kid
season
that you watched grow up.
Right.
Yeah, and I was the inner kid.
Yeah, you're like, you finally made it, son.
The sprout. It's like a turnip sprout, and it's just growing.
That's it.
Sprout. You're sprouting.
Yeah, sprout.
That's another story. But it's not for the podcast.
Side story. My 8-year-old, and his nickname is Sprout now. I can't go any farther than that.
I think we can fill in the blank.
That's Firehouse stuff.
He was real excited. And I mean real excited.
About Christmas.
It was about Christmas and his presents and Santa. So, anyways, raising a little boy, how awesome is it? But we pour so much into it. I have, other than having a couple pictures, I've never seen a buck of that magnitude. And, to create the tension at deer camp in my own spirit, waiting and thinking that, I'm not going to get the shot because he came through once and this deer's just taking a road trip to my property, but it all worked out. It's a lot,
Just a huge roller coaster of emotions, right? So.
Oh my gosh.
So I don't want to cut your story short with the emotional part of it, because that's like the biggest part of it. But to go back to your opening statements about how one of the reasons why you started Michigan Hunter is because you see, a lot of hunters attacking each other, and you want to have a community that's better than that.
Yeah, that won't be accepted on my page.
So something happened. You told me after you shot this buck a few days later, you told me that something happened that kind of changed your opinion on maybe thinking that there was more of that than there is. It's there, but you kind of like, I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say. And I'm just drawing a blank.
Well,
so things came into place that showed you that there's a lot of good out there still with other hunters.
Oh yeah,
like-mindedness. And tell us about
that real quick. I just want to touch because that was my next question. I was going to ask you about that. I know where this is going. Not to cut you off, but what are you? Just for the listeners and for me, what are you planning? What is your food plots? Is it a super secret?
Okay, no. I keep it pretty basic. Brassicas, that's your late season, and then clover, chicory, rape, mix. Do that for the early season stuff. Those three, unfortunately, it's over pretty quick. You might get a couple weeks out of it. And then, they do come back and nibble at it, though. But the brassicas, I think about that as like muzzleloader, or
late season crop.
Late season stuff, the first two frosts, then it starts turning sweet to them. So basically we got to wait till a couple good heavy frosts come through. Then they start hitting that. So I want them to have something to eat, beyond the cornfield, beyond the soybeans.
Okay. So, and then that was going to segue into my next question is now this buck's dead, everything, there's that thing that Scott was talking about that I'm going to let you touch on that happened to you after the kill, which definitely shined a little light on the quality of people around you, right?
It totally amazing because, sometimes I get pretty bogged down when I see people harassing kids, or really the kids really bother me, but beating people up over shooting, something small that they don't consider is something that's worthy to shoot. Well, it's, not everybody thinks the same, and not everybody's in the same spot. Where I'm at, maybe not be where you're at, may not be where Scott's at. We're all in different spots, but we all can move forward together. We can make this thing better than it is. So I get the buck. I go through the chronic wasting disease thing over in the Waterloo area. Get the buck checked and all that, and then I posted a picture on MI Buckpole. That's pretty much the biggest, baddest place that people are posting deer these days. The guys run a really nice. They run a really nice page. I really like it. Other than controlling, they try to control what some people's running mouths, say. But anyways, I posted on there, and maybe a day later or so, I went through there and I looked at my picture again just because I'm so proud, and see what people said about it. And one guy on there, Corey, he says, "Oh man, you shot my buck," or you shot the deer I was after, something to that effect. And I'm like, okay, Michigan's a pretty big place, and there's a lot of deer. What's the chance that you've seen this deer before? So I contacted him off of the page, and I said, "Hey, where do you hunt at?" And he gives me the right answer. And I said, "Okay, all right. So I guess maybe that was your deer, that you've been chasing or whatever." So me and him, we start talking back and forth, and I can already tell this guy's a class act, man. Really super nice guy, And he's like, "Hey, Brandon," he's like, "Do you have any trail cam photos?" I said, "Well, I got a photo from 17 and one of him right in front of my blind on the 14th." And he's like, "Well, would you like some photos? Because I have a ton of photos of this deer."
Oh, that's sweet.
You know, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm like, proud as can be. I'll take some photos. So this guy starts sending me photos of this buck that I shot. Didn't make me feel bad about shooting it, but this buck was living.
He could have just been like, never talked.
Right.
Killed the buck I've been hunting, and
he would have been probably like, I would have taken it and been like, this son of a bitch.
Yeah. Mad about it.
He obviously cared. This was the buck that he was chasing.
Mm-hmm.
He had a ton of photos. The buck was living on his property, taking a road trip to my property. His property is about a half mile, between a quarter mile and a half mile away. So this buck was taking day trips and coming to my property and looking for doe or food or whatever, the once last year. So get to talking to this guy, and he's sending me photos, and I'm thinking, man, for him to like want to do that for me, he wants me to have these beautiful pictures of this deer on the hoof in all stages of the season and this and that. It kind of took me back a little bit. I'm thinking, sometimes you don't think there's any people like that are left out there, just because social media, you see the negative stuff is what you see a ton of. They're louder, and you see it. It gets on the news. It's obnoxious. It's totally uncalled for, disrespectful to everything and everybody. And then there's
enough room for all of us.
And then I got this guy that's trying to, after I just shot the buck that lives on his property, that's probably the biggest buck he's ever seen there, and he's trying to give me something. I couldn't appreciate it enough.
What else did he give you though?
So yeah. So I'm like,
well,
I got one picture that I can give you. I can give you a picture. I said, did you see him in 17? He said, nope. 18 was. I'm sorry, 18 was the first time that he's seen him all the way through the year. So I send him the older picture that I got of him as just a slick 10. He's like, wow, that's great. We talked about our kids and getting our kids going. And I talked to the guy on the phone for an hour. We had great conversation and everything. Super respectful guy, outstanding Michigan sportsman. Day goes by. He texts me. He's like, you're not going to believe this. Well, he's like, I know who has the sheds of that deer now that I see a picture of him last year. I'm like, dude, you got to be kidding me. He's like, both of them. I know the guy that has both of them. I'm like, okay. Well, I said, do you think that there's any chance in the world that this guy would sell them to me? I don't want anything for free. Would he sell them to me? And he's like, I don't know. I got to call my buddy that knows him. I'm like, cool. Call him. See if I can buy these sheds off him. It would mean a lot to me to get them. I didn't expect the guy to say yes, honestly. So the guy Dustin, that's kind of like the middle guy between Corey and the guy with the sheds, was Bryce. Corey says, hey, Dustin's going to text you and give you the info, but I think it's a go. I'm like, no way. So Dustin texts me. He says, hey, Corey told me about what's going on with the deer, and I talked to Bryce, and he said that he would love for you to have these sheds, and he will not take any money for them, but that the antlers belong to you because you're the one that got the buck.
So not only did you run into one,
crazy.
You didn't run into one stand-up outstanding sportsman. You ran into 3 total that helped you put this whole thing together.
These guys don't even know me.
Right.
And they're just like orchestrating this thing, like I want this guy to have the sheds. We wanted to have the pictures. You know, I mean, can the story get any better?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
It can't get any better. So I call Bryce. I'm like, hey, you know, I'm Brandon. Dustin told me that you would be interested in giving up the sheds. I said, that's amazing. He's like, absolutely. If this ever happens to me where I shoot a buck, he's like, I hope somebody would do the same thing. So I'm going to do it for you. I'm like, dude, you're blowing me out of the water here, because this is what it's supposed to be like. Mm-hmm. This is the epitome of the Michigan hunter, the Michigan sportsman. That's how we are supposed to act. That's how we're supposed to conduct ourselves. You know, not that you have to give something like that up, because it's cool to find some huge sheds, but to force yourself to do the right thing it's stellar, to say the least, you know. And so I met him a couple days later, and he's like, all I want to do is hold the antlers from, you know, the actual one you shot. I'm like, dude, no problem. Here you go. Let me take your picture with them, you know. You can even lie about it if you want. I don't really care, you know. So anyways, he gives me the sheds, and I met 3 guys that I am super happy to get to meet. Bryce is the only one I've met face to face. I'm still trying to work something out with Corey and Dustin, and see if we can all go out, shed hunting, meet for something to eat, and
you guys are all hunting right around each other.
And these guys are right by me, so it's kind of like a little support system. I hunt by myself a lot.
Yeah, you're not near home.
No, I'm not near home.
It's like me. I'm far away from home. I don't have nobody that I know within an hour of me. It would be nice. Yeah, like that. That's awesome.
So actually, what we're gonna do, me and Corey are gonna get together and do some shed hunting. Maybe February or March or whatever. And I'm gonna take him through my property just so he knows where my stands are. He knows if something happened to me, if I didn't show up at home or whatever, my wife will have his phone number, and he's right there, and he's gonna know where all my stuff's at. And cool. I trust the guy.
All formed out of you shooting a buck he was hunting.
Yeah, out of a Facebook post.
How does that happen?
But I don't know. It's orchestrated too cool that that stuff doesn't happen all the time. I met a few cool guys along the way and the confidence. We started talking QDM. Is in my area, probably about a 2-mile square, that we have the area pretty locked up, practicing QDM to some form or the other. So the outlook for where I'm at in the future looks fantastic. It's already good, but these guys that have agreed, hey, yeah, we're gonna do this. We're gonna move.
I wonder if they can hear that. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, we're in a firehouse. Yeah. We can't keep people out of the bathroom forever. Unfortunately,
we are filming this right next to the bathroom.
Yeah, we're camped out. So totally apologize for whatever you might hear. Maybe if I just get closer and talk louder, then we can drown it all out. But I don't know, that kind of wraps up my story there, and super happy to shoot a 157-inch Michigan monster, and I don't think it's going to be the last for me. I think I got some more in my future, because of the movement of the hunters seems to be going in the right direction, even if the DNR
are going in the opposite
direction on us,
But just like you said, you control that. The Michigan hunter controls what you pull the trigger on, and how and when you decide to shoot what, and what where you shoot.
That's exactly right.
I left a couple comments on Mark Kenyon, the Wired to Hunt. He posted his video of him shooting that absolute monster buck, right. Michigan bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a lifetime Michigan buck, as he keeps calling it, which it might very well be, and it probably is for most people. But I kind of disagree with him on that, especially for a guy like him because he hunts so much. I mean, his life is hunting. So to me, it's not. I feel like I have more hope that that's not a once in a lifetime buck for a guy like Brandon, who's into it 100%. He's not just going out there 2 weekends a month or a year or 1 week a season. He's out there all the time, every season, all season long.
Yeah.
I think with more guys like him, us, Mark Kenyon's out there pushing this QDM. There's guys that are big name people that are pushing it. I think Michigan has good chances of those bucks not being once in a lifetime bucks, as long as we can be the good Michigan hunters we want to be and counteract what our DNR might be doing at the current moment.
Yeah, but I left a comment under that one also that I seen. He said once in a lifetime, and he's super fired up about it.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking him for that.
I get it, but I hope that when he lays in bed and thinks about dreaming a deer, that he knows in his head, that
it could happen again.
It can happen again.
Or bigger. I mean,
we just got to keep moving in the right direction. It's not going to be as easy as going out of state. Absolutely, it's not going to be.
No, but ultimately, this is where it starts. Is right here.
This is where you're going to spend most of your time for the majority of it.
This is where you're going to spend most of your time, and this is where our deer herd gets better.
Yep.
This is Iowa didn't go from scrub to Pope and overnight, and it's going to take a while to do it. And like you said, it's going to take the whole population of hunters throughout the state.
Yeah, and I'm in for the effort, and I'm going to keep on pounding away and encouraging my way through it, and making my habitat better.
Yeah,
I got a 100-acre farm that I hunt and a 40-acre farm. As far as Michigan, that's probably a decent size, farm area, but you go out west and 100 acres is nothing. So, I'm just going to make my little spot as good as it can be, and in hopes that, the guys that are hunting around me, they're going to keep deer comfortable. They're not going to shoot the small ones. They're going to keep them fed well, by putting groceries in the ground. Baiting ban next year, super important. Get your groceries in the ground. It's got to be done. Make sure that habitat's right.
Yeah. So now we're coming close. I mean, we're coming close to the same amount of time as we did last time.
Yeah, we got to start.
All right, man. It's flowing good. I think it's all right. Real quick, I'll tell the story in a nutshell. You shot that buck. You hit on it earlier. You shot that buck. You lost it. You never found the buck way back during bow season.
Yeah.
You lost this buck. Never found it. A couple days ago, you get a phone call from your Kiowa hunter. Found a buck with a broadhead.
Yeah.
It's yours.
It's mine.
So you go out there. You got the deadhead, which is cool. You got that on the wall. Same thing happened to my dad. He shot a buck second day of gun season. Tracked it for 2 miles. Never found the. He lost blood. It went into a swamp. Never found it. Like a week ago, a hunter called him and said, "Hey, I found your deer." It was like it literally did a 2-mile loop and came right back to where it was shot. Same thing with your deer. It was fine right by where it shot. My question is, and this is something that I don't even remember where I heard it. It was just on a podcast that I listened to, and I can't think of which one. I listened to so many. Do you notch a tag? And I know you didn't, so I know the answer to this year, but you two or our listeners, if they want to send us a comment or an email or whatever their answer would be, do you notch a tag for a deer that you don't recover?
Okay, well, I'll give you my answer on that. No, I didn't. And there is a reason. So this buck comes out. It was October 19th or 20th. Comes out broad daylight, nice sunny day, and I have my crop field didn't get planted this year with all the soybeans like regular, so I planted a Nebraska blend out in front of me. The buck comes out, and I have like 6 foot high weeds, and I made like 3 senderos.
Are you selling things on eBay?
I must be selling things on eBay. Sorry, guys. I caught like 3 Senderos in these tall weeds in my Nebraska blend, right? And, well, here comes this buck. Nice buck, grunting, coming through. He's heading towards my one opening that I have. I know my time is short that I'm going to be able to get a shot at this buck. So I took my rangefinder and I ranged where he was going to hit my opening, 40 yards. There you go. No problem. Bam. Took the shot, and I couldn't tell exactly where I hit the deer. I seen blood instantly. Deer takes off. I go about my tracking business an hour later, and blood. Not the best blood, but pretty easy to follow. I tracked this deer for, I'd say probably 200 to 300 yards. They should be dead within 100, right? If it's a good shot. Well, I stopped, put an arrow in the ground, said this is no good. Something's wrong. I'm backing out. I back out. I think it was later on that I had to go get permission from the.
Can you guys hear that?
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
Where
that's
is that?
awesome. Okay, cool.
So I went and got permission from the sheriff's office because the deer was on township property. They gave me permission. Yeah, you're good to go. Go look for your deer. I got a tracker, got a dog. I want to do this as right as possible. You know, I don't care how much it costs me. I want to do the right thing. Got the dog. Track. Look. The guy jumps a deer, a buck, 16-inch spread. He said roughly 8 point. I'm like, yeah, maybe that's maybe that's him. He's like, well, if that's him, he's fine. I'm like, all right. Well, I would rather him be fine than wounded, and I can't get him. I either want him dead or doing good.
Yeah.
So we looked around, gave it best efforts to make sure we're doing the right thing here, and we backed out. Ran out of blood. We seen the one buck take off. We're struggling here. Firehouse podcast done.
So ultimately, you had a pretty good reason to think that
this deer was fine.
The deer was fine.
Yeah, we gave it every effort possible. We have a nice buck that took off, running, jumping through the marsh. We're like, all right, he's fine.
So let's say that you didn't have that. You just didn't find it.
Yeah.
That's the question. Is do you notch a tag and potentially end your season if you already got a buck or only have one tag left? What do you say? What do you say, Nico?
I did it in 2018, so 2 seasons ago, 2017. I did it. I shot a buck. 16?
Yeah.
16. My first hunt, hour into it, shot a buck with my bow. Thought I killed him. Looked back at the footage. Nah, shot doesn't look good. Tracked it. Same thing, went way too far. We tracked him almost 2 miles. Said, nope, he's not alive. 5 days later, the neighbor calls me and says, hey, that buck's dead, property line. He could see the buzzards buzzing around it. Walked out there and found my buck. Did the same thing, made a circle, and was on his way back to where I originally shot him at. I notched a tag on him and killed him.
Did you notch a tag before you knew he was dead, or did you notch a tag?
No, I did not. I notched a tag after I found him. I notched a tag.
Okay, so would you have, though? That's the question.
If I had shot the deer and not found it?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
No. Oh, no, because I didn't. I didn't notch that tag. I didn't notch a tag until I found the deer.
I personally, I wouldn't either. Some people are saying that if you shoot one, you wound it, and you can't find it, you should still notch a tag because you potentially killed it, you just didn't find it, and now you're going to kill a third buck, say, if you do get 2 that season.
It's an interesting concept. I'm kind of with Brandon. I was 90% sure my buck was alive when I quit tracking that deer. I was about 40 yards away from it at one point in the loop that we were making. So I think that's why I don't necessarily agree with that or partake in that, I should say. I don't disagree with that. I just don't partake in it because that's the second time I did that. Man.
Don't worry, guys. Your noises are way better than our noises.
I'm sure I'm as positive as I can be. I'm going to take all precautions to make sure the deer are dead. Yeah. But there's no way to be or alive.
I'm
There's
of
no
the
way to be
mindset
100%.
that I wouldn't burn a tag, just because. I mean, there's way too many. I mean, I shot at one this year and missed it, and if I were, and then I thought maybe I did hit it. I don't know. I went and looked for blood. I didn't have any blood. It was snow on the ground. I thought about that for days, thinking look in the right spot, but then I seen him like 3 days later running around chasing does. So, but yeah, no, it seems to be an interesting debate. So I figured we'd throw it out there, and maybe our listeners, the 6 or 7 people that listen to this, can chime in and tell us.
I'm
Dude, we kind of lost the listener.
Well, no, there's 4. I mean, we're all going to listen to it again.
If he's on, and if he's going to be on
for sure.
any other times regularly or not, it's like now we don't got a listener. Shit, our moms and dads and brothers and sisters. My brothers won't even listen.
Thanks for asking me the question, Scott. No.
All right,
Mom. I don't notch your tag
if
either.
You think I should notch my tag? Let me know.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah. Tell us what you think.
No,
Dad.
thanks for anyway.
I know my dad's gonna listen. I'm gonna, and then I'll know if he listens again. And we can hear Nico laughing over and over and over again.
Let it rebuttal around. It's on our end.
Anyway. You guys hear that?
No.
It's Nico's laugh over and over.
Why?
Can you give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me? Okay, you can hear me. So we're gonna wrap this up because I can't hear you guys anymore.
Are you sure?
So,
well, hold on. Let me finish my story.
Oh yeah, sorry.
My story, man.
Yeah, sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, if you're gonna invite me on, I gotta have my story. Yeah. Are we?
You're good. Go ahead.
I think they can hear us. Nico, you can hear us? Yeah, you can hear us. They can hear us.
Okay. So, I think it's alive because of the buck that we jumped, and it sounded like the buck I shot. And then, I'm running my trail cams 24/7, and I got multiple pictures of this buck rolling through that looked pretty close to the buck that I did shoot, So, in my mind, I got picture confirmation that this is the buck that I shot. Not that I seen like a bad spot on him where I hit him, but it just looked like the buck that I shot. And then, the dog jumps the buck out there. And so I had every reason to believe that this buck was alive and well. So fast forward to me I bring a trapper on every year to get after the coyotes because I'm not diligent at it, and I want somebody that is very passionate about killing coyotes. So I bring this guy on, and he's like, "Hey, Brandon, I found a buck out here. Here's the picture." And I'm looking at it, and I said, "Well, where was that at?" And he's like, "Well, it was in between your ladder stand and your box blind." I'm like, okay, that's exactly where I shot a buck right there. And I still am not thinking that this is the buck that I shot because I was so convinced that the deer was alive.
It ran away.
So I was looking at the wrong deer on the camera. That deer's fine. He was never shot. And the buck that we jumped was obviously not the buck I shot either. He's like, "Yeah, and I got your arrow. You got what?" He said, "What's your broadhead look like?" 3-blade red mechanical. He's like, "Yeah, I got it. It was right with the deer." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And I had a high of highs in the season, and ending. I'm still super stoked about the whole season, but the fact that my deer was out there that close, rotting away, and there was nothing left, and I didn't find him. The dog didn't find him.
So we will not be advertising for the particular dog tracker. Should have called Sergeant and what's your buddy's name?
Cypress.
Sergeant Cypress.
I can't hear you guys. That sucks.
Okay, I'm just reading his mouth. That's okay.
Yeah, read your lips. Speak real clearly.
And he cut out.
That was awesome. We couldn't even read your lips.
Anyways, I actually don't have the head yet from the deer that got found. I'm gonna go out there probably in a couple days and go see it.
Yeah.
And it happens. Deer circled back and died right in the spot where he got shot.
All right.
That's it for me.
I'm gonna go ahead and apologize for the god awful
All of it.
Audio that's going on in there, but it's the circumstances. Scott's gonna have a kid.
Yep.
And he's gonna be out of commission for a little bit. Brandon's about to be famous, so we had to hurry up and get him on here.
For sure.
And I live in the middle of nowhere.
And your internet's pretty garbage, to be honest with you.
And they're in a firehouse. So we did what we could. So hopefully you can stick with it. Maybe we'll be able to edit some of it and make it sound a little better.
For sure. But like Scott said, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
Subscribe.
Tell
your friends.
Like us. 5 stars on the podcast.
5 stars on everything. Always.
5 stars on everything. Always.
So yeah. Thanks for sticking around. That was a long podcast. But
yeah. All right. We'll see you next time.
Toodles.